actually like 20% there, so we're good. I was like, where's my phone? I got the fancy iPhone 12. I actually just got it. I had the iPhone 8.
You're on that?
Oh. Yeah.
That's the number now?
Yeah, look how many cameras. There's like 3 cameras.
The thing is, I'm just frustrated because I have to
Can you StreamYard?
Look at that.
Like the app?
and I'm just like,
So
much
we're live
work.
now. We're up and running. Should be on Rockfin and at least our channel.
Let's get
Hey, if anybody's hanging out, thanks for watching. This is the final stop on the Home Run for Julian tour. My name's Steve Boykenan. I'm here with Mr. Winston and a whole bunch of other people, including our boy Franco, who's on the opposite side of that camera right now. Maybe he would like to come over here and say hi.
What's going on, everybody? I'm just getting the camera started on my end so like we can get another angle of it, so I can be live, so that my audience can also watch. We want to get as many people watching this as possible. But yeah, it's awesome. It's hot, but we're gonna be out here. Thankfully, it's not raining, right?
Not yet, man. We got some familiar faces. There's Morgan Argentina, Sputnik, and
Suzanne Murphy here. Steve Winston.
Oh yeah. It's gonna be a good day. So, while we're setting up, while we're doing our shit and getting ready, there are a couple of ways that you can continue to support the Home Run for Julian tour. Going forward, AssangeDefense.org has all of the donate links for the defense campaign. Give that a shot. We'll be picking up the megaphone and getting loud here shortly, and Franco's going to start his stream. Stick around, you guys. I was supposed to. You still can. It's live right now. The whole thing is a photo bomb. Technically, Franco, get back over here.
no, it's ruined.
Yeah.
They're on the way, by the way. They were up for their
Like wet snow.
It was like
Yeah.
and then it was here for a couple of days next day.
If it's not fused to me, I'm going to bury it. Yeah, which is crazy.
Yeah.
It's like you guys were all here, like right around that. Right before that.
Some of them stuck around, I think.
And Congo got covered it. Yeah, well, I don't know.
Yeah,
He was sick, I think. But then Congo got
I knew the kids.
Yeah, exactly. That's just the fact that they were all there. You have a lighter? Yeah, I don't know. Jordan, are you going to say anything?
Hey, Jordan. Jordan.
Well, people are chicken. Actually, yes, put Tom there. Little boy. I just want to say that it's been 3.5 months since we were at the DOJ, and it's like, I don't know, dude, in like a Stockholmy way, good to be back. You know, like, oh, here we are, scraping at our oppressors again. But like, there's more people each time. That's what I like about it.
I was telling him, Josh, about the day after the morning after the extradition ruling, we were down here with the cake. We're like, it's gonna be a party. What?
That was a great day. It was. The whole week was so good. It was. You go from like being being surrounded by cops at the Force the Vote protest. A block away from the Capitol on the opposite side of the street from 48 hours before the shit that went down on the Capitol when there were like no cops and the ones that were there were like moving barricades and waving people in. Velvet rope, you know, let's try and keep it between the velvet ropes.
Yeah, I was gonna say no.
Most polite interaction.
No mic. If you put the mic on the speaker, then it'll freak out.
Every time.
The guy was trying to do that.
Right there?
That's a no.
That's good.
Test it.
Testing.
So anyway.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming out for the last leg of Home Run for Julian. We're just waiting on the Shiptons to get here, but this is a great turnout so far. It was beautiful. Everyone, thanks. Say thank you to Paula for doing such a wonderful job. Yeah. You're the best, Paula. So yeah, we're just here to raise awareness about Julian Assange and his case. The United Kingdom and the United States are trying to extradite him over to the United States from Belmarsh prison in the UK, where they're trying to charge him with the Espionage Act, and they're going to send him to prison for the rest of his life. And that's just not right. And if we turn around, right there, we have the arrival of the two Shiftons, and that's real big. Glad they're here. But yeah, it's just, this is a fundamental case to all of our civil rights, whether that be just an everyday citizen or a journalist that's just talking about the news day to day. So it's important that all of us understand what's happening to Julian and we all speak out against it, because we cannot let them silence dissent. If we question the narrative, then we have to be able to have our point of view put out there. We can't just have it silenced. So I think that's what Julian Assange represents. But I don't know if anybody else wants to say anything.
Let Jordan play there for a second. We'll get everybody else set up. It does.
Hello? Hello. Hi, everyone. I don't want to break anything. Let's see. Hi. My name is Jordan Renee, and I have been working with DC Metro for Assange since its inception about 2 months ago. And it has really been a wonderful ride. And swinging on this momentum that we've been noticing, and with the great help of the Home Run for Julian tour, I really am feeling very, very confident, especially with the news we got recently about the witness and air quotes. So I've always wanted to blend my music with my activism, and so I'm really glad I can do that here today. Here's some songs. First one, Hide Your Kids, it's called Don't Give a Fuck. So. He don't give a fuck. He don't give a fuck. They don't give a fuck. They don't give a fuck. But then it goes to you. He don't give a fuck. who trapped you. They don't give a fuck. Gets like you. They don't give a fuck. 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 They'll send you to war. They don't give a fuck. They'll send your eyes to fight their wars. They don't give a fuck. Oh, but you come back from war, you're either broken or dead. They don't give a fuck. Just ask them. Their answer is no. 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 So we'll go. Won't take your shit. We don't give a fuck. We won't take your ass back. We don't give a fuck. Oh, I said we won't die in your wars. We don't give a fuck. Give my taxes back and go. Go. We're killing children no more. No more. Gas is lighting no more. Oh, your abuse is too old. Too old. We don't give a fuck. You're all the same. We don't give a fuck. We don't give a fuck. I'm desperate for a change, so I don't give a shit about your name. There's no one left to hurt, so I don't give a fuck about your net worth. You say you better now, you lie. Okay, my standards now are high. That was called Don't Give a Fuck. Is it possible we could turn the mic up a little bit? It's not my neck. Just it was written out of thinking about, this was before everything went down in 2020. This was written January 2020, before my heart was completely shattered by politics. But it's an abuse cycle that we go through, and we see it in so many things. So I find it that it's very important that we look at the abuse cycles in our own lives and see how that relates to the collective and politically, because they're using the same patterns, the same tactics, the same emotional manipulation tactics. So that's where that came from. This next song, and I'll just do one or two more. Oh, that's so much better.
Yeah.
I think if it's like facing up to me, that's better.
Tell me how you.
Because you can hear the guitar, right? You can hear the guitar. Okay, yeah. So it's my voice. Okay. The lyrics are where it lies. So this one's called Sheepskin. This was written April 2020. I was living alone in quarantine in Miami, no AC, and I'd just gone back from visiting someone because I was going a little crazy. And I think by that time, everything had gone to the shitter in the Democratic primary. And I just wanted to go. I just wanted to go somewhere, get out of my house. Really, I've known it for a while, but the Democratic Party is really a wolf in sheep's clothing party. And I just started thinking about all the predators. Like, I just want to go out into nature. And I'd rather be around actual wolves than have anything to do with the fucking party system or depend on them or have any need for them. I'd literally rather be around predators, actual predators, in nature and feeling free. So that's sort of where this is coming from. This is called Sheepskin. This is also my first time performing with the guitar, so just bear with me. All right. Okay. Thank you all. Awesome. I'm running to the mountains where the wolves won't go. I'm moving to the valley where the lions won't roar. I'm not a game no more. The sheepskin see no more. No. I'm swimming to the ocean where the sharks won't bite. I'm taken to the grasslands where the otters won't fight. Oh, I'm not again no more. Oh, the sheepskin say no more. No more. I'm walking to the desert where the vultures won't fly. I'm digging through the tundra where the foxes can hide. Oh, I'm not a game no more. Oh, the sheepskin see no more. No. I'm hiking through the forest where the hawks won't snatch me. I'm gliding on the river where piranhas won't snap. Oh, I'm not a game no more. Oh, the sheepskin sing no more. I ain't got no strength no more. Oh, my shackles on the floor. I'm not a slave no more. Oh, you no escape no more. And now my freedom's won. Oh, with my family, I'm one. All right, so for this last one, this one for sure goes out to Julian Assange. Oh, is it not? Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. So this one's really quick. It's just playing Amazing Grace. Because I wish that for Julian, right now. I wish Mercy, I'm so glad he's going to be able to see his 50th birthday. I thank him so much for what he's done because, as he says, leaks stop wars. And I just wish Mercy and Gracie, grace and mercy for everyone. So yeah, just real quick. How sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. Thank you, everyone. Happy birthday, Julian.
I know, go. Nathan signing it, and then we'll get up there.
Okay, everybody. So the Shiftons, unfortunately, are on limited time. So we have a couple things that we want to present them with today. So where's Paula? Paula, my love. I'm not presenting anything. Oh, I'm just gonna. Oh, go ahead. She's right here. So if I could get John and Gabriel to come up, please. Please and thank you, kind sir. And thanks for everybody for coming out. I know it's really hot. We appreciate you being here to stand in defense of Julian Assange and the future of press freedom. So yeah, thanks for coming out here on this really ridiculous, sweaty day. Boykenan, do you want to do microphone or megaphone?
It doesn't matter to me.
Okay. I feel at home with the megaphone.
We'll take the microphone, that's fine.
Why you gotta make things complicated? Okay, so John, Gabriel, we wanted to get you something to kind of commemorate your trip through the United States. So I managed to find an amazing company called Engraved to Last. They didn't ask me to say this, but they were able to get these to me in 24 hours. So if you ever need anything engraved, please go to them. They're amazing. So we got each of you, Paula has them, a baseball bat since the tour is home run themed. It has a picture of the logo. It has a list of all of the cities, all the cities they joined, and it also has a quote from Julian Assange.
It's my favorite quote.
My favorite quote of all time. And so here, if I can just do that. That is my temperament. I enjoy creating systems on a grand scale, and I enjoy helping people who are vulnerable, and I enjoy crushing bastards. And that's a quote from Julian Assange. And so we wanted to present those to you as a commemorative, something that you can take home and remember your tour through the United States. So thank you very much for coming to the States and helping us raise awareness and try to get some support for Julian. We really appreciate it.
And then also, when we did our first event as Action for Assange last year, this side, in February 2020. We brought this flag out. I think pretty much everyone here has already signed it. The intention was someday we would get it into the hands of Julian Assange, and then this is the 2021 side, because we've been to a number of other places this year. There is no doubt in my mind that we will have to get another one of these and do this process all over again. However, I do feel like it will be the last time that we have to do this. We have seen incredible momentum just in the last month since John and Gabriel have been in the country. There have been some earth-shattering revelations in this case. Who would have known? A pedophilic sociopath who was arrested for embezzling and impersonating another human being would have fabricated his testimony. Who knew? Who could have thunk? At any rate, I know you guys got to catch an interview in a plane, but I wanted to make for absolute sure that this got into your hands, John, because who better than to deliver it than Julian's father? So I appreciate it so much, guys, so much. Thank you. And I don't know if you want to say a few words before you get on the road, but you're more than welcome to.
Geez, Stephen, just a real pleasure to be here. This this trip across continental United States, the response has been astonishing, and just rolls on rather like rolling thunder, getting bigger, stronger, firmer, and the depth of support amongst the people of the United States is just astonishing and staggering. And I go home with a thought in mind that if we've got to come back again, which we may not have to because your support has been like tremendous, if we've got to come back again, we'll get a couple of RVs and do a proper tour with livery on them and get Stephen to sign them, everybody sign them as we go along. But essentially, you know, what is the upwelling we've experienced is concern amongst the people of the United States, the people of the continental United States, for their treasures. And that treasure in particular, I've said it over and over again, that treasure is the First Amendment, because the First Amendment in 1793 attached to the United States Constitution holds within it the essence of understanding that freedom only comes through knowledge. Knowledge brings freedom. This is the extraordinary gift and understanding of Jefferson and his friends, that to have freedom, you need knowledge. And to protect that freedom, you need an amendment to the Constitution of the United States. And that understanding has spread right around the world, and many countries these days copy it. Equally, a great treasure is the Bill of Rights. We don't have a Bill of Rights in Australia, and every election, the parliamentarians squabble about, yes, we'll do it next week, or maybe the week after. But I guess we'll get one eventually. So I congratulate and thank the United States for this very fine example of the understanding that you can only be free if you know stuff. And that is essentially the motivation of Julian Assange and Chelsea Manning. That under those documents, the Iraq War files, the Afghan war logs, the Guantanamo detainee files, and what they call the cables, that understanding in there has seeped through over a 10-year period into the culture. It's become enculturated in the United States, in the people. And that's percolated up into the Congress. Now, the Congress, being a power body, is not going to make a fuss about it and say that, oh, we've seen the light. But what they have done is obeyed the people of the United States, and they're out of Afghanistan. they're getting out of Afghanistan. That's brought about by those leaks that Chelsea Manning brought to Julian Assange and was published on WikiLeaks, and they're still there to this day. They're out of Guantanamo Bay. It's on the cusp of being abandoned. That insult to the people of the United States, that disgrace and offence of all of those 800 men locked up there forever. The great American lawyer Clive Stafford Smith set up an NGO called Reprieve, and using the Guantanamo Bay files, got the freedom of many people who were wrongly interred there being closed as a result of the leaks, as a result of the publishing on WikiLeaks. The Iraq War's finished. There's no United States troops there, and that country struggles getting up off its knees after all this 20 years. One of the architects departed this earth yesterday, Donald Rumsfeld, and has gone down to the place down there. If there is one, he's the prime occupant. So I congratulate I know it sounds excessive me to congratulate the people of the United States, but I congratulate myself, Julian, Chelsea, Gabrielle, and all of us who have made it possible by learning what was in the files, in the Iraq War files, in the Afghan War files, in the Guantanamo Bay detainee files, learning what's in there and understanding from the First Amendment the embrace, almost sacred, that knowledge has brought us freedom. Thank you very much, everybody, and hope to see you under different circumstances. Maybe we'd call it a victory tour or something like that, and make it a bit of fun. Thank you.
I'll just say thank you. You know, it's so heartwarming just to see all the familiar faces that we've met around the place. Just a big thank you to everyone for everything you've done while we've been here and all the effort that's been put in to free Julian. I think John talks to Julian every day and lets him know what we've all been up to here, and it really means a lot to him and keeps him going. Where he is. This is great. I love this. Good job. Yeah, Paula, well done. This is fantastic. That's very nice. But yeah, just a big thank you. And we're going back to Australia now. But I think you all can see what's been happening here while we've been here. The momentum that's been built up. And just this Torderson's recanting his witness statement just at this week is just another one of those dominoes falling, and with the momentum that all of you have contributed to, it's just going to keep going. There's just going to be more and more of these things coming, and it'll all just lead to Julian's freedom. Thank you.
Thank you. John and you, a picture of the three of you. We don't have meals just like can we get meals in it? That's planted by the water. I want a picture. I want a picture. Justice for Julian. Justice for Julian. We shall not be moved. Can't hear you. Justice for Julian. We shall not be moved. Just like a tree that's planted by the water.
Hello everybody, can we come in for a group snap?
Everybody, all of you, Morgan, everybody. All of you. Everybody in, everybody in.
Okay, we need to get closer together. If we make a line of 2 or 3, everybody on the 2, 3 on the sides, a bit in closer, maybe in front. That would be great. Can we squeeze in a little bit? Maybe one more line in front. Can we have that? Oh yeah, there we go. Make a bit room for each other. Big rope.
Better?
Yeah,
Shave in the first row.
Whoever's camera is this, is it alright we move that for 2 seconds?
Franco!
We could just move it back a bit, then we can get it over. Alright. Great.
Free Julian.
Free Julian.
Free Julian. Free Julian.
Great.
There's only one decision.
No extradition.
Let's hear it. There's only one decision.
No extradition.
There's only one decision.
No extradition.
There's only one decision.
No extradition.
Free Julian Assange.
Free Julian Assange.
Beautiful.
Awesome.
Thank you. Oh, right. We have one more president.
Niels, I want a picture of the 3 of you.
All right.
Seriously, you are so awesome. You did so many.
Nice to see you.
It's good to see you.
You're so sweaty, so you don't want to
Oh, I'm
there.
dripping. I'm just totally dripping. So, I want cold pink. Cold pink. Allie! Allie's here. Allie, can you want to do your petition?
Yeah.
Okay, before they leave, code pink, which I put my mask on the top. What do you want for back?
Once everybody says goodbye to the Shipton, we're not speakers.
Stop speakers. You'll have the microphone in your mouth or your face.
Say goodbye to the middle. Hi, Rafa.
Max.
I told her all about that.
John, Lou Wolf got here too.
I saw it. Over to say hello.
I know the face. Yes, yes. In fact, people who have come to our members before and walked us down this is the African cemetery. Oh, desecrated.
I don't know what I'm going to say. I'm just going to say something. I was asking.
you know, Mark Ellis actually got elected. But sometimes we put a banner up on the side of it.
Hey, that's good to meet you. Thanks for coming. Yeah, all of the like, kind of work around. Yeah, kind of work together. Actually, they're all intersected by the way.
Yes, there has been a down.
Yes.
I think it's probably okay, all right. Thank you, Coffee. Yeah.
All right.
Let me,
Oh, okay. I'm looking at it.
This is my son. Oh, you're very welcome.
All right, we're doing it. There you go. Nice, good, good.
Get in with chickens to it.
Great.
Grazie.
Where did Ann Wilcox go? You know?
Yes, I'm trying to get back to our Boston action. Nathan, I should get here.
So the Shiptons have to take off, but we still have cake. We still have a number of people that are going to speak. I see that Lee Camp is in the building, a couple other people. So don't think you're going to go anywhere. Fucking captive.
and what you can do to help Julian Assange. First, we have, Crazy Man, host of the Slow News Day show, my dear friend, Steve Boykenan.
Wow, it's DC again. This feels incredibly, frighteningly, oppressively authoritarian familiar. I would like to thank everybody that's come out today. This is monumentally important. We'd like to give everybody right now, give a huge round of applause to the Shiptons for their trip. They had a solid month of, I think, 17 stops. That's insane. That is absolutely crazy. What's even crazier than the fact that two Australians were in the United States explaining to Americans how the First Amendment works is that their son and brother sits in an English prison for 23 and a half hours a day in solitary confinement because he published verifiably accurate information about the U.S. war machine, how it operates, and the significant waste, fraud, and abuse on top of the ceaseless slaughter of civilians the U.S. empire engages in on a day-to-day basis. What Julian Assange, what WikiLeaks have done is allow us to view the world from primary sources instead of having multi-millionaires tell us how we need to think and feel about news that they do not want us to have access to. This is fundamentally ridiculous. This is at its core the root of oppression, narrative management. Here's the thing. If Julian Assange is allowed to be prosecuted, if he's allowed to be extradited to the United States and go through a kangaroo trial in the Eastern District of Virginia, an espionage court, that's the end of all activism. That's the end of all free press, all independent press. Activism hinges on our ability to get information to people, into people's hands that don't already know it, that may not be on board with everything that we're on board with. So as activists, no matter what your cause is, the free press is vital. The struggle to free Julian Assange belongs to everyone. There's no politics here. There's no partisanship here. This is people gathering for common cause and common purpose so that when we secure a free press, then we can devolve into petty squabbles over party. But until we need everyone on board with one voice saying, free Julian Assange. So free Julian Assange! Free Julian Assange! Free Julian Assange! Free Julian Assange! Misty, who am I bringing up now? So you don't have to chant that.
Yeah,
Josh, you go first.
No.
Josh Davis, who is with DC Metro for Assange, will now take the megaphone. Please give him a big round of applause. Thank you very much for putting this all together and assisting Josh. You rock.
Free Julian Assange!
Free Julian Assange!
All right, guys, thank you for coming out today. It's an amazing turnout. The Shiptons were just here. I really can't thank them enough for making it out here. It's just important that everybody starts talking about this case, whether it's with the person who is completely on the other side of the aisle with you, or it's someone that you talk about politics with every day, or someone that you work with. Just get the word out. If you start talking about it with people that you know, then the people that they know start to be aware of it too. So you have to affect your immediate circle before you can actually make a big change. So the only way that we can do this is together and just raising awareness. The point is about Julian Assange's case is they just want to make an example out of him. He's done nothing wrong. in 11 or 12 years that WikiLeaks has been open, there has not been a single retraction of their story. But they don't talk about that. They want to smear him and they want to discredit him every single way that they can. But it's very hard. And that's why there's so many people like us that are fighting back and becoming aware of our own voices and the threat to ourselves. Because don't get it wrong. When they prosecute Julian Assange, they prosecute us. So we have to stand up and we have to resist it. So, free Julian Assange! Free Julian Assange! Free Julian Assange! Free Julian Assange! All right, Morgan, your turn. Okay. Kobe. Yeah. This is Kobe.
How you guys doing today? Alrighty, so I'm going to tell the story from a little bit more of like a personal angle of self-censorship. So in 2016, I used to share the WikiLeaks emails on a regular basis on social media. You know, I thought of myself what I would call a citizen journalist. So I wasn't at an outlet or anything. I did study journalism in school, but it was more of a just, you know, I'd go to events on my own, I'd videotape occasionally, I'd write some commentary about it. And so I remember when the DNC leaks came out in 2016, you know, I was really heavy on covering it. I would share all the emails every day about, you know, the DNC corruption. And I thought it was really telling that instead of confronting the evidence that was in these emails, there's never been anything proven wrong in WikiLeaks emails. You know, they would respond with, anybody sharing this is just a, you know, unwitting agent of Russia. You know, don't read the emails. It's all Russian. Don't read it. And that campaign lasted for like 4 or 5 years. You know what I mean? And at the time, I was 19. I didn't really know what I was doing. You know, I just kind of like shut up for a little bit. You know, after the election happened and mainstream media kind of shifted towards the Trump impeachment story and all that stuff, you know, I got scared. Oh gosh, they're going to call me a treasonous traitor and they're going to like, you know, do the same thing they're doing to Julian to me. You know, and so 4 years later, finally, I think everybody's starting to get the Russiagate out of the way. They know that that was kind of a propaganda storyline that was out there to silence dissent, like it effectively did to me for 4 years. And I'm sure there are a lot of other people out there, and especially people who are in corporate media, who they have their bosses telling them not to cover these stories from certain angles. You know, they are still self-censoring to this day. And I think that if they successfully prosecute Julian Assange for releasing the classified information, for publishing it, you'll see journalists on a mass scale, even more than they already are, self-censoring. It'll be even more fear of self-censorship. And so that's why I think, you know, not only should Julian Assange not be extradited to the U.S., but that judge in the UK should get rid of the precedent that you can have a journalist extradited internationally to the U.S. It can't just be a human rights case, although, you know, the U.S. criminal justice system is terrible. You know, there are tons of human rights abuses. It has to go further. It has to not set that precedent against the international free press. Thank you.
I'm a terrible MC, man. Okay, thanks, Kobe. Next, we have Morgan Argentina, who is a journalist, an amazing friend of mine, longtime supporter of Julian Assange. So give it up for Morgan.
Yeah.
Morgan!
Hi, folks.
We have batteries. We got more batteries. Hold on.
I'm good at breaking things. I sabotaged it.
Oh, where are the batteries?
Good luck finding anything, man.
Well done.
Oh, there you go. Morgan, use the mic.
I got it. Oh yeah, there's the mic. Okay. Hi folks, my name is Morgan. I'm a journalist. I've been covering the Assange case for a long time and a lot of other similar cases. And I'm also a member of the Answer Coalition, and Answer stands for Act Now to Stop War and End Racism. And that's obviously Julian Assange's case is one that we are very concerned about because it's really, that was a big spoon, because it's really central to the mission of stopping wars. Of course, everybody knows the quote by Assange about how if lies can start wars, truths can create peace. But there's another part to that quote that is less often talked about, and that is where he talks about all of the journalists who help make a war happen, the pro-war journalists who don't criticize the evidence given to them and question and challenge, and by not doing so, help to allow a war to happen. And of course, yesterday, Donald Rumsfeld died, one of the chief architects of the Iraq War, a war in which the media infamously refused to do its job. The few people who did speak out or did even dare to question the narrative of weapons of mass destruction in Iraq and the PNAC blitz against all manner of independent nations, were quickly silenced, taken off the air, and whatever. And so the other half of that quote by Assange is he talks about what is the body count of each journalist who refuses to do their job, who refuses to challenge the existing narrative, who refuses to challenge what the ruling class is telling us is the reasons that they have to go and blow up another country. And it's the U.S. militarism, it's the U.S. empire, and it's $750 billion annual military machine, which doesn't even include the nuclear weapons budget, that makes that possible. And it allows the U.S. to behave as if it is the global policeman. And I can't think of a better example of how the U.S. behaves as if it's a global policeman by getting the United Kingdom to arrest an Australian national because he broke a U.S. law. I mean, the idea that the U.S. law, that the U.S. system of justice, or the U.S. anything, values anything, extends across the entire globe is just the height of presumption. It's the height of empire. And so this fighting against the U.S.'s ability to punish people from all around the world whenever they do something the U.S. doesn't like, to throw them in a U.S. prison for 175 years is an essential part of any anti-imperialist project. And so I am so gratified to be up here today because I've been covering the movement to free Assange for many years now, and this is probably the most people I have ever seen here outside of the DOJ coming out on such an awfully hot day as this. So yeah, you should also give yourselves a round of applause because you are doing the work, we are doing the work. It's like Josh said, you have to talk to people who don't agree with you. You have to talk to people, spread the word, and challenge the existing narrative, just like Julian has done, just like WikiLeaks does every day, just like they are trying to stop us from being able to do. So thank you, all of you, for continuing to do what you do. Free Julian Assange!
Free Julian Assange!
Okay, everybody, thank you, Morgan. That was amazing. Up next, we have an activist, a journalist. He's a radio show host. He once got kicked out of the White House Correspondents' Dinner for demanding that they cover Julian Assange, which was bad fucking ass. Everybody welcome Randy Credico.
Thank you. I really need this thing. I'm too tired. I'm too hot. I should have dressed like you guys. Just yell out. I didn't want John Shipton to be the only one with a tie on. So once in a while, you gotta say, you're right, John, let's wear a tie. Hi, everybody, I'm Randy Credico. I don't know if that was so good, Morgan, and everybody else. You pretty much have summed up everything about the case against Julian Assange. We know that the whole thing is a farce. What is that?
Oh, okay. I'll start again. Hi, everybody. I'm Randy Credico. I'm an alcoholic. Hi. Oh, wrong meeting. That's the one across the street. Anyway, where's Max? Got to hang out with him again. Listen, it's great to be here today, and I really am encouraged by the big turnout. I know I've been at vigils in London. They're getting bigger. I've been in New York City. They're getting bigger, and this is what it's going to take. I just interviewed John Pilger for Saturday, and that's exactly what his message at 6 p.m. on WBAI or Assange Countdown to Freedom. And that's really important that many people get out here. You have, we need, as Al Lewis, Grandpa Munster used to say, the asses of the masses. Now, I want to talk about someone in here, Vanita Gupta, who I know very well. She's third in line at the Department of Justice. Third in line, Vanita Gupta. I worked in Tulia, Texas back in 2000 for the Kunstler Fund for Racial Justice. And she came in a couple years later. We got so much press there. We got monumental press, 46 African Americans who were shanghaied into the racist criminal justice system in this little city 40 miles west of Amarillo. So they were rotting away. And we worked and we worked, and the Times came down there, the press came down there, and they covered it. She came in towards the end and filed an appeal. But if you take a look at her record, you would think she was there from the beginning. She came there, and it was a great career move. She is now third in line here. And why is she third in line there? Is because of the press. The free press covered that case down in Tulia, Texas. If they didn't, if the press was out of action, if the press was repressed, she would have never been known. She got a lot of press out of that, and now it has catapulted her third in line in the Justice Department. And I want you to remember that name, Vanita Gupta. Write her a letter, email her, write a letter here, because if she, in that position, you guys know Vanita Gupta, in that position allows Julian to be extradited here, it destroys her entire career and her work in Tulia, Texas. So remember that name, and I hope that she does the right thing. I really don't have much to add, except for just keep doing this. People get out here as much as you can, spread the word out there. Let's not be argumentative with other people. Try to entice them with love, you know, and reason, and get people out there on the streets. It can work. It worked in Tulia. It worked in New York State with the Rockefeller drug laws. We were like 6 people in 1997 outside of Rockefeller Center. 6 years later, those laws were changed because thousands of people were on the street. They thought it was impossible, but it can happen. It happened in Tulia, it happened up there in New York, and it can happen for Julian, but you just got to keep organizing. You got to stick to it. As Cornel West said yesterday, during the abolition movement in 1840, people like Theodore Parker and Frederick Douglass and Lydia Child, all these abolitionists in the 1840s, the press wasn't interested in what they had to say. But 15 years later, the movement was huge, and it led to the Civil War and the 13th Amendment. So it is possible. You just got to keep moving and moving and moving and go forward, and don't be discouraged. This is the most important case going on right now. This is the most important case here in the 21st century. And it has implications for everybody. It really does. There'll be no, if he goes, guess what happens? Everybody else goes. Everybody else goes. And then who? Without Julian Assange, how would we know about what happened to Leonard Peltier or what happening right now to Mumia? There are a lot of political prisoners, but without a press, without a free press, we won't know about them. And there won't be one if Julian Assange goes down. So please keep that First Amendment alive. All right? Thank you very much. And that's free Julian Assange. Free Julian Assange. Okay. Thank you very much. And thank you all for your work. Really great.
Thank you, Randy. That was incredible. Give it up for Randy Credico, everybody. All right, coming up next, we have, you know him, you love him. He's the host of Redacted Tonight. He's an activist, a journalist, comedian. He's hilarious, and his name is Lee Camp.
Thanks. Hey, everybody, it's good to see you out here. This is important. This is exciting. You know it. Honestly, like, it's amazing to see the energy continue. They've suppressed us online. You type Assange in a title and it doesn't get shown to anybody. And still we're here and still we say free Assange. They have beaten people in the streets and still we're here and we say free Assange. They have arrested people for standing there and demanding that we free Assange, and still we're here and we say free Assange. They have sentenced whistleblowers to dozens and years in prison, and still we're here and we say free Assange. It's incredible to see everybody out here. It's incredible the energy online, and they could drop these charges. They could drop it all right now, and Assange would be free. These motherfuckers right here. I'm sorry, what's the politically correct term? These mother and father fuckers right here could release him right now if they just drop the appeals, and they should. And honestly, like. We look at our ruling elite and who they worship and who they imprison. you know, who they look up to versus who they lock in a cage. And it's so clear what they stand for. Donald Rumsfeld is now dead, but he was free his entire life. All right, he was free. He was rewarded. He was awarded. He was held up. If you read the New York Times article yesterday on Donald Rumsfeld, you'll see words like distinction. You'll see words like powerful and combative and strength and how he led people in a scary time. You'll see all of that shit for a war criminal. However, Julian Assange, who did nothing but reveal the truth to us, is imprisoned right now. Julian Assange never reported a single false thing at WikiLeaks. WikiLeaks has never fucking gotten something wrong. Compare that to the record of the entire mainstream media. Whether you like them or hate them, they get shit wrong all the time, and they know it. They retract stuff. WikiLeaks has never retracted a goddamn thing. And he's imprisoned for getting it all right, for getting it all right, and for telling us what was going on with our governments and governments around the world. People want to portray him as, oh, he was just an anti-American crusader. He revealed the truth about governments around the world, and for that, he is imprisoned. And again, to go back to the people they worship, the people, our ruling elite and our media and the Justice Department hold up as a successful human being, as an impressive human being. It's Joe Biden, it's George W. Bush, who has now had his brand rejuvenated. And you can watch the video from a couple of years ago, Joe Biden putting the Medal of Liberty, I think it's called, around George W. Bush's neck with applause and an audience in Philadelphia. War criminals like George W. Bush are getting awards put around their neck while Julian Assange is imprisoned in England. It's infuriating, and it's really honestly true. I know it's something that we just say and we move on and we say and we don't think about what it really means. But until he is free, none of us are free, because it shows what is done to those who speak the truth. It shows what is done to those who stand up and call the war criminals out. And so until he is free, we are all imprisoned in one form or another. Our souls are, our beings. He represents so much more than just himself. I'm sure he'd say the same thing. It's not just about him. It's about the idea. It's about the idea of revealing the truth, of telling us what is being done in our name, of telling us about the millions being killed in our name. And that's what he did. And before that, he has received the reward of being locked away in a cage. And until he is free, none of us are truly free. And I know you all know that, but we've got to keep saying it. We've got to keep fighting. We've got to keep the energy up. So thank you all for being here. And free Assange!
Thank you, Lee Cam. Give it up for Lee, everybody. It's amazing. Okay, coming up next, we have amazing journalist, badass all around, from the Gray Zone, Max Blumenthal.
Thanks. We got some more Gray Zone representation we can hear from, too. That was a pretty hard act to follow. Man, I feel like Jerry Lee Lewis after Chuck Berry or something. I don't know if you're... But how about those defensive strikes on Iraq and Syria? And we're all mourning the 100th anniversary of the CCP, which is going to take us over. Donald Rumsfeld was a complex man, undermined by the Iraq War. He was that was literally a headline. I'm just rattling off headlines from the media that exists in the wake of WikiLeaks. It's just an upside down perspective on reality. And I'll pretty much just say what I said yesterday before an unpacked audience at the National Press Club. Leo was there. I don't know who else was there, but basically you tried to get in. Yeah, if you weren't, I hope that whoever had this mic before me was vaxxed and you all are standing too close to me and I need to be in like a survival suit or whatever because they weren't letting people in without vaccination passports or whatever. But I got in just because I'm like the elite, which is pretty much how the vaccination passport regime will work in the future. Like, that's the Great Reset anyway. So, yeah, I went into the National Press Club, very esteemed institution. It's where the Beltway Press Corps hangs out, went to the First Amendment Lounge, which is where Julian Assange released Digital Murder. This horrific scene, let's not forget, that shows journalists being murdered by the US military, journalists being murdered. Why? Why? Because they're carrying sticks. These are guys from Reuters with these sticks, and they decided those were guns and they were militants. You are all insurgents who could be mowed down by a helicopter in Iraq. That's who is on film in Collateral Murder, Digital Murder. It was Digital Murder. It wasn't even Collateral. Was it Collateral? It wasn't Collateral. They were targeted. They're like, all right, we got more. Like, let's keep the fire trained on those journalists. So get those dead bastards, not even human. And that was such shocking footage to me. And then something like 10 years later, Julian Assange's father, John Shipton, is on stage talking about what it's like for Julian to meet his son in prison and to see his son be orally searched by guards, and who's 2 years old, who gags when they reach in his mouth as if he's gonna slip Julian Assange a hacksaw so he can saw out of prison, and that if Julian reacts, he gets bundled by the guards and 6 guards tackle him. Imagine meeting your son like that. So that's what took place in that 10-year span, from administration to administration to the Assange family. And it was so painful to listen to and painful to see the lack of support from media. Now, I was mentioning the National Press Club. When I walked in, there were signs everywhere calling to free a journalist. Not Julian Assange, Austin Tice. I don't know anything about Austin Tice. I know he was a former US Marine. He was in Syria. He was there without permission from the government during a dirty war. I don't believe he's alive anymore. But there are signs everywhere because Austin Tice can be used as a political pawn in a dirty war against an official US enemy. There are no signs for Julian Assange because Julian Assange exposed the dirty war, because Julian Assange shows how the sausage is made in this town. He showed the inner workings of empire. Therefore, the National Press Club and the whole Beltway culture doesn't even consider him a journalist. So when his family showed up, it was only Cornel West, Brother Cornel, who came down from New York to represent. And we have to give credit to Ryan Grimm, even though The Intercept has completely strayed from its original mission and is now effectively the interventionist. So that was upsetting to me. It was especially upsetting at a time when Siggy, the key witness on this phony espionage case, and I'm sure a million speakers have talked about this before me, was exposed not just as a convicted child molester rehabilitated by William Barr and the cats in here, the Justice Department, but as a liar, a fraud, a documented sociopath who cooked up a case that the US government couldn't put together so it could get around the New York Times problem of other journalists using WikiLeaks. So the case is completely fallen apart. But the last time we were here, I know some of you all were here for the last time, it was cold. There was, it was a different moment in the case. The case had already fallen apart. The judge had already ruled that he can't be extradited to here because our prison system effectively amounts to torture in the Supermax prisons. We had already exposed, and it should have been on the front page of the New York Times and the Washington Post, that CIA assets had plotted to poison Julian Assange in the embassy. We knew this from the Spanish court where those very assets from UC Global are on trial. We knew that they spied on Julian Assange's lawyer, effectively denying him a free and fair trial in the US, meaning that he can't be extradited. The case has fallen apart so many times, and it's fallen apart again. This is the trial of the century. This is the trial of the media. The future of the media is being decided here in this trial, and the media doesn't even want to say a goddamn word about it. Nobody said anything about this Icelandic report in the media. Look how hard Randy Credico, where's Randy Credico at? All respect to Randy Credico. He's down here trying to pull teeth, calling on the journalists that interviewed him about Russiagate when he was a witness. They all wanted to talk to him. And it's like pulling teeth. And Randy's done so much. He pulled so many people together for that press conference. And all of you have done so much. And it's just really up to us right now to keep this going. It's up to independent media, truly independent media, because we know that we're next. And it's just like government surveillance, where after 9/11 and the Patriot Act was passed, so many people, they said, well, I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm not going to be spied on. I just sit at home. My goal is to get a Costco card. But the rest of us who are involved in actual people's struggles and activism, we understand the stakes. And that's the same analogy applies to the Beltway media. They know they're not going to be next. Their idea of being adversarial is going to the Geneva Putin-Biden summit and heckling Vladimir Putin and then fantasizing about Biden flashing a toothy grin at them, as the Bloomberg White House press correspondent did. Their idea of being adversarial is being adversarial to an official enemy, not their own government. They don't even believe in democracy anymore. They believe in being stenographers for power. They believe in afflicting the powerless and comforting the powerful. And so we just have to call on ourselves and our own resources to keep this going. All of you here are my heroes. And I know that we may have to be here again, but I feel like we're making progress. We're being listened to because we have an actual grassroots audience that the Washington Post and the New York Times don't have. We're speaking for actual people, just like Julian Assange did. So, it's our duty to continue what WikiLeaks started, to continue to provide people with real, transparent access to how empire has made it to get in the way of this empire. And right now, that's what we're doing. So thank you all for being here. You all are my heroes. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, Max. Appreciate it. Everybody give it up for Max Blumenthal from the Gray Zone. And the Intercept fucking sucks. Okay, so next we have the amazingly talented journalist, also from the Gray Zone, Anya Parampil. Thanks, Misty, and thank you, Misty, just for coming all the way here. She just drove. She's driving back because she's so committed to the cause. Round of applause for Misty. And everyone else that's here, too, thank you so much. I think as a journalist, this is the most important cause, singularly, that I can work on or stand for, and that is to free Julian Assange, protect whistleblowers, and make sure that the ability for all of us to continue to challenge these powers in Washington, we're standing among them right here in the belly of the beast. And Julian, as Max said, stood here just down the block and revealed the massive crimes of the United States just 10 years ago. And to think that at that time, I remember he was celebrated by the media. The New York Times was working with him to publish the leaks because what he had contributed was rightly recognized as a treasure trove to any journalist. And now to see them standing silent in silence and refusing to speak out for his case is really a shame. And I don't want to repeat myself, even though I've spoken at several of these events before. I just wanted to emphasize the power that Julian Assange and the influence he even had on me as a reporter. I remember when the State Department leaks first came out, there was a ton of information in there about how the government of Ben Ali in Tunisia was corrupt, and it was revealing a lot of crimes that the Tunisian people, they understood to be true, but they'd never actually seen the State Department cables boasting openly about the crimes of that government. And within weeks, there was an uprising, an actual revolution which overturned the old rule, and it was dubbed in media as the first WikiLeaks revolution. And that was something that really taught me the power of information. Why, if you're someone who wants to see a change in your own society, such as the United States, such as Washington, D.C., where I walk down the streets, and every week it seems as though the tents multiply of the homeless living across the street from the State Department, the greatest symbol of U.S. imperialism in, I think, the entire country in the world. And then you have people actually living in tents across the street from it. How more clearly can you see The fact that the people of this country are sacrificed in order to uphold the military, uphold the empire, and to perpetuate the crimes that Julian himself was exposing. And that is the only thing Julian ever did wrong in the eyes of these people, because they know that if people here woke up, their power and their hold on power would be very, very limited. So finally, I just wanted to emphasize again that the reason that the judge, Barretzer, did not extradite Assange to the United States is because she was concerned that he would actually be tortured here. Max mentioned the event at the National Press Club yesterday. A few years ago, I was also in that room, again with Dr. Cornel West, because he was here to deliver a letter to the Obama White House asking for them to release Jeffrey Sterling, another casualty of the Obama era prosecution of whistleblowers and leakers. And Jeffrey Sterling was actually someone who had suffered from a heart condition, and he was denied medical treatment while in prison. I remember interviewing his wife. She would be tearing up. She was actually concerned for his life. And this is exactly what will happen to Julian Assange if he is brought to the United States. Belmarsh is one thing. The United States, their goal is to get him here. And you hear the fear in Stella Morris's voice and the family of Assange when they rightfully bring up the case of even John McAfee just a few weeks ago, who died in his cell. Either he committed suicide, and it was because he was going to be extradited to the United States. And anyone who sees that as their future sees that their future is gone. And so that's why Stella Morris said we have to speak out to make sure that doesn't happen to Julian, and that they do want him dead. I mean, that is what his father said yesterday at this event. It's very real, the threat of against Julian's life if he is brought to the United States. So that's why we're going to continue to come out here and demand that he's not extradited and that he is free. Viva la información.
Thank you so much, Anya. Just so everybody knows, Ben Norton's also here, who's choosing not to speak, but thank you for showing up. Also from the Gray Zone. The Gray Zone's amazing. They've been, I know, Max, I tried. Oh. Come on, Ben. Sorry, I just totally put you on the spot. I'm not actually sorry. I figured I could get Max and Anya to pressure you a little bit on that. Everybody, Ben Norton from the Gray Zone.
Hey, I was filming. We're going to be publishing a video on this. I want to talk about an angle that's not emphasized enough. You know, when Julian Assange is acknowledged in mainstream corporate media, and he rarely is, he's frequently referred to supposedly as a hacker, which is absurd. Everyone knows Julian Assange is a journalist. Julian Assange is one of the most important journalists in the world, really in history. Julian Assange has published countless stories, important stories, that are much better than anything you would see in the New York Times or the Washington Post, because he's actually exposing things that the US government don't want you to know. Supposedly, journalism in a democracy, in scare quotes, is supposed to show what the powerful are doing so that the citizenry can be informed on what the ruling class is actually doing in their society, and they can supposedly act and vote accordingly. In the United States, and in many so-called democracies, the media is actually just a handmaiden of the ruling class. They just say exactly what the US government wants, what Western governments want. They say exactly what the CIA wants, what MI6 wants. And what's so Orwellian about this case, and honestly, something that you couldn't even imagine in a dystopian movie, because if you did it, people would say it's just too on the nose, is that Julian Assange is not even a US citizen. This is something that we really need to stress when we talk about the situation with Assange. Not only is he a political prisoner being tortured, and I want to stress this point, Julian Assange is being tortured according to the top United Nations expert on torture, Nils Melzer, the special rapporteur. But not only is he a victim of torture, not only is he a victim of arbitrary detention, according to the UN Working Group on Arbitrary Detentions. And I want to remind listeners that the UN Working Group's legal definitions are binding. These are binding decisions according to international law. And the UN Working Group said over 5 years ago that Julian Assange was being arbitrarily detained and needs to be released and given compensation. But it's not. I mean, those are extremely important points. But I think what's the most fundamentally significant point about this case is that with the precedent that this institution behind us is trying to establish, they're trying to say that the U.S. government is a global dictatorship that can imprison anyone in the entire world for violating its supposed national laws. That is a level of authoritarianism that you cannot imagine. That is much worse than Orwellian. I don't even know what you could call it. We're talking about a global dictatorship. It's American, exactly. This is the dictatorship of imperialism. And the case of Assange is not the only one. I mean, the case of Assange is especially terrifying for anyone who's a journalist, for anyone who cares about truthful information. Again, this is